Hello and welcome to the Story Pilgrim. Philadelphia, Routine Rhythms. Or should I say, Philadelphia? Hopefully a few of you out there will get that reference. Philadelphia, home of the Eagles, the Liberty Bell, the Philly Cheesesteak, and so much more. Named the birthplace of America, it was the meeting place of the First Continental Congress, the Constitutional Convention, and became the first capital of the United States. So much culture. Oh, and of course, Rocky. Adrian! Have you made sure you're following this podcast? Please click on the follow button and make sure someone close to you knows about the Story Pilgrim. Please tell them about it, it's much appreciated. And it's the main way that we can get more ears to listen in. Thank you. Philadelphia, without further introduction, let's get to it. Well, good morning from the streets of Philadelphia. I think I know a song about that. Philadelphia, it's a really cool city. I've been here a few times. I'm right by the City Hall now, which is a magnificent building. It's got a huge big clock tower. At the top of it, got really big statues at the top of it of Native American and pioneers. There's a wonderful Christmas market just coming up here, just on my left here. The Americans, cities, they love their Christmas markets. Had a great Christmas market in Chicago. But, one of the first founding, or quite significant in the founding of America, Philadelphia. It's known for quite a few things, actually. 1731 had the first library founded by Benjamin Franklin. It was created to make books accessible to people who couldn't afford them. Quite a revolutionary idea at the time. Really cool. Has the oldest inhabited street apparently in America. Elfref's Street. Elfref's Alley. I'll get it right in a second. It's in the old city, of course it is. I reckon again that's dating back to about 1703. What else? It's the birthplace of bubblegum, believe it or not. In 1928 by Walter Dimer, an accountant for the Fleer Chewing Gum Company. His creation was called Double Bubble, and it was just pink. It was pink because that was basically the only food dye that was available at that time. It just became an instant hit, which is pretty cool. Ooh, I'm going to run and try and get across this road. I'm not quite sure where I'm going, actually. I'm going to get some breakfast, I think, first. I do want to walk around, obviously, Philadelphia. I said it again, that word. Obviously. Rocky. Iconic, the Rocky Steps, the running up of the Rocky Steps, and him doing that victory dance, or victory arms in the air, is here, so we'll go and see those. Also has the Mutter Museum, medical oddities. Has slices of Albert Einstein's brains in there. Yeah, and there's a huge skull collection by the Ahiriti Skull Collection. 139 human skulls. Each one has a story. Now there's a podcast in there somewhere, isn't there? I was looking at my phone just then to see if I could find somewhere to have a diner, and this lady came up to me, and she's in a uniform. She asked not to be recorded, which is absolutely fine. but she is like a walking city concierge. I can never say that word, concierge. Basically, she just walks around and helps people. That was really cool. They've been doing it for 33 years here in Philadelphia and in Baltimore, and they basically just walk the streets and help people that might feel lost and stuff. They don't have any authority, they're not in police in any way, but they just have a wealth of information, and they just help you go on your way, which is really sweet. And they're responsible for all of the stuff outside the city hall with regards to the Christmas market and stuff. So that's really, really cool. So she's pointing me in the direction of a couple of diners. I've got to go downstairs apparently. So she said go to the City Bank on Market Street. Okay, here's Market Street. Go down, and then there's a couple of diners down there. So let's go and see if we can find them. So she's absolutely right. Of course she's right. You go downstairs and there's a whole underway place. There's Tina's Kitchen. This looks pretty cool. And then there's another one down here. There's nobody sat inside Tina's Kitchen, that's the only thing. I think there's another one down here, but there's a whole underground system down here that I didn't know about. It's the same, isn't it, like in Singapore. These cities that have their cold winters, they go underground. And there's a place here, PC's Restaurant. This is the one. I'm going to get some breakfast in here. Hi, morning. Can I get a Western omelette?
You call?
No.
No, you want to place order?
Yeah, please. I tried to do it through there, but I couldn't see where to order the
No
coffee.
Sorry. Western omelette
With extra cheddar cheese.
cheddar cheese,
Yeah.
and
And a coffee, please.
omelette by itself. Do you want making a platter or by itself?
Let's have a platter.
Platter.
Yeah.
Do you want home fry or grits?
Fries.
Home fry or
Home fries.
Home fry.
Yeah.
And wheat or white bread?
White, please.
White toasted butter.
Please.
And eat it here. What to go?
Eat in.
Huh?
Here.
Eat it here. And small or large? What size your coffee?
Large.
Large coffee with the cream or no cream?
Cream, please.
Cream. Okay, so $12.96.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Too many decisions early in the morning.
I know it is, isn't it? It's a lot. All good decisions, though.
39.
What a great idea. Have people walking the streets who are there just to help out. A street concierge. Brilliant. I was really enjoying my time in Philadelphia. Relaxed enough to get the mind thinking. I would never have been able to have found this place if it wasn't for that lady, with it being underground, but it's absolutely great. I mean, it's not the poshest of places, but it's one of those. This is pretty much sums up Philadelphia. All the people coming in know the people behind. They're really friendly, just good basic food with good basic human relations. It's really lovely to see in a city of this size. I've really enjoyed watching Welcome to Wrexham on Disney with Rob McElhenney and Ryan. And Rob's from Philadelphia, and you can really see how he can get that connection with Wrexham. How, you know, it's a town that really is very proud of itself, and they just get on and do it. They get on with life, and they're just doing it, and they all respect each other. It's got a really cool feel to it. So as I came out this morning, as I'm sat here in this cafe. I've been thinking recently a lot about routines and how those routines like quietly choreograph our lives, how they like sort of guide us through without us even noticing. And what would be different if I changed a routine? If I just mixed it up a little bit. So today, I mean, this is going to sound stupid, but I normally put my left leg into my trousers first, or jeans, whatever I'm putting on. But this morning I put my right leg in first. It felt a little bit strange, a little bit awkward. Also maybe a little bit rebellious. But in it, I just thought it's funny how a little tiny change like that can just make me pause for a moment. I really had to stop and think about it, just to notice that moment. And it's just like a little wake-up call in a way. So I'm kind of going to be thinking about routines today as I wander around Philadelphia. I am literally probably a 15-minute walk from the city town hall, and you find these delightful little side streets with these townhouses on them, which are like about 3 stories high, but they all have a basement. Again, very similar style to Boston, but very quiet. Lovely, all very the same, but all very individual, different colours, huge big doors, shutters on the windows. You step up into them, because the basement is kind of like half up and half above ground and half below. A theme of routine. They shape our lives. We can be aware of them. We can also be not. I'll come back to that later. The geography of Philadelphia is unique and I think plays a huge factor in the nature of the people from and that live in Philly. Philadelphia sits between 2 rivers. You've got the Delaware River on the east side of the city, and if you go over that river then you're going into New Jersey, which is a much bigger state than you think it is. And then on the west of it you've got I'm going to pronounce it Schuylkill River. It's spelled Schuylkill. I think Americans might say Schuylkill. So it gives it a kind of coastal feel, because there is quite big docks here and you get quite big ships coming up, especially the Delaware River. It's a really big river, but the Schuylkill River does get pretty big as well. And there's a lovely river walk along the Schuylkill River that I'm walking up now. But as I do, I'm sort of like thinking about my routines again, and how kind of like the routines kind of flow through my life. And here I am next to a river that is flowing. I can see a weir up above, about half a mile ahead. But as that river flows, it sort of cuts its way through wherever it's going, as running water always does, and sort of like smooths out the rough edges, carving that path over time as routines do. But then I'm also thinking that routines kind of trap us into patterns, sometimes questioning, getting us questioning the direction, and like thinking back to Chicago when we talk about how they managed to make the river flow in a different way from going into to out of the Lake Michigan. It didn't change. Well, it did. It changed the direction, but it didn't lose its identity, and it discovered something new. So if I break my routines, it doesn't change who I am. It just means that I have possibility of changing something new. And that's kind of like, what would be different if I had my coffee at different coffee breaks at different times of the day? Would it feel funny? I don't know. Probably not. But it might just change something different. Just let this lady go past. Oh no, she decided I was going to this lady talking quite loudly behind me, and I stopped to let her pass, and she turned around and walked the other way. Won't take that personally. It's like, I don't know, like routines can to be seen. I'm getting all metaphorical and fanciful about this. It's like kind of like an invisible cage that you have around you, for the good or bad in it. So I'm just going to play around with that a bit more. But yeah, I'm in the middle of November here, and we are well into fall, and all the colours of the trees, there's reds, yellows, light greens, dark greens. It's very pretty.
Tell that girl to say you bring them donuts out here. I used to think that I was a face after that. Hell was wrong with his voice? You see the expression on his face? Yo, I'm sorry, little man. He said, what's wrong with his voice? His whole face changed. He got about that stroll. What?
So one really cool place to come in Philadelphia is the Reading Terminal Market. It is just a place full of bakeries, food, stores like spice stores. There's one here, Sweet as Fudge, Miller's Twist, which are pretzels. You can sit and have a deli. It's not as busy today. What day is it today? It's Wednesday today, and it's 1 o'clock, so it is lunchtime. There's butchers, there's a hat store, sushi, General's Jerky Shack, lobsters. It's really cool. So it's you can come in here and sit down for something to eat. There's Beck's Cajun Cafe. It's a really cool area, so highly recommend Reading Terminal Market. One of my favourite places to eat lunch in America is a place called Panera Bread. They're all over America, but they've come in here in Philadelphia, and they do this pick two. You pick two, so you get basically a soup. You can pick two items off the menu, and they have a certain size of them. So I've just had a cup of potato soup, which is really good because they put cheese in it, and it's really creamy. So I've just had that. That's really good. And then, of course, because I'm in Philadelphia, I have to have the cheesesteak. This is a ciabatta cheesesteak. It's basically steak, chopped up steak with cheese. I'm not quite sure what type of cheese, and peppers in it, and it's on a ciabatta. I'm going well, that's really nice. It's sweet peppers, and it's toasted, so the cheese is all melted. A little bit of spicy, a little bit of peppery. There's sweet peppers, but there's a bit of pepper in there as well. And that's really good. Really good place. All across America, you get these Panera Breads, and you kind of feel like they're healthy as well. So that was, and you get an apple as well. I got free apple. So that's alright, isn't it? It's not free, is it? I paid for it. Will they make it out as free? If Panera Bread want to sponsor this podcast, more than happy to accept that. I'll take payment and gift cards or just food. Well, here we go. Having a cheesesteak in Philadelphia. I am a happy bunny. And so the Philadelphia Art Museum was made famous because of the steps in front of it. and as you start running up them, you remember the scene from Rocky where he gets to the end and he runs up these steps, which I am doing right now, and he gets to the top and he turns around and does that victorious throwing the arms up in the air and a little bout and punching around, and it's quite iconic knowing that you know, that film came out, and there's the footprints here, right, of Rocky, where his feet are. You can stand right on it. I'm going to take a picture from here, looking down towards Philadelphia. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's just a movie. I mean, it's a story, a true story. I don't know how much of it is embellished of Rocky Balboa. There's a statue of him down there. I'll take a picture of that later. Kind of looks like Sylvester Stallone, so I don't know if that is a statue of Sylvester Stallone playing Rocky or if it is a statue of Rocky. But yeah, having that image ingrained in your mind for such a long time, and then you come here, it kind of I don't know, it kind of it's a weird feeling, really, because you're like, oh well, that's it. There's a lady that's ran all the way up to the actual art museum rather than stopping at where he stopped. But yeah, it's really interesting, just that sense of place and putting all of that together. Let's see if I can get a picture here of the Rocky feet. Well, that's pretty cool, with Philadelphia in the background. That's really cool. Yeah, so yeah, it's really. I'm not quite sure where I'm going with all of that, but it is interesting. I don't know if there's many other places that would have that feeling to me, for me personally, and I don't really seek it out. It's not like, oh, I have to go and see that. It's like, well, I'm here, so well, I might as well. And you get there and you go, oh, that's really pretty cool. It's really quite special to me and to my life. And maybe it's just because I am getting older now, and you kind of think back to those days and you go, well, yeah, when I watched that, you know, I was X amount of years old, younger than what I am now, who didn't really care about stuff, and yeah, and you kind of go, yeah, but now you kind of do, because time is more valuable because there's less of it. Who knows? We don't have a clock, do we, on telling us how much time we've got left. I don't know if I would want that or not. That would be really quite helpful, but also quite depressing in a way. Yeah, you get a bit morbid. There's some really cool, I don't know when the last time they had water in, down the sides here. There's some fountains going, and you can see them, well, it's completely bare, bone dry, with like fishes, which I would imagine would spurt out water. But it's really cool. It's really, really big. I'd love to see that in action. Maybe I have to come back in the summer, and maybe that'll be there then. As I leave the rocky steps behind, I was just thinking about how routines in my life make it efficient, hopefully, but sometimes can drain it of life's playfulness. And then, like I said, just trying to mix it up in the smallest of ways. It feels a little bit like running up those steps this morning, full of energy and curiosity, instead of just walking on by. I mean, routines are necessary, but then a little bit of chaos can remind us that life isn't just about like the efficient way of climbing. It's all about the trip, laughing at ourselves, and feeling the world a little bit different under our feet. I've come down towards the side. I'm on the eastern side of the art museum now, and there's some wonderful trees, and there's a huge big park that goes up to the north behind it. I'm going to drop away from that because there is something else that I want to go and see. That ciabatta cheesesteak was so good. Standing in front of the art museum looking at the skyline of Philadelphia, the feeling of knowing a place so well but never actually being there, until now, was a little surreal, unnerving, unsettling, but at the same time comforting and reassuring. A good mix that I allowed to sit inside me, to adjust, strengthen and grow. So I have come up to the Eastern State Penitentiary. The original prison was built here between 1822 and 1836. It's on a radial plan, sort of goes from a centre and goes out, by John Haviland, basically linking solitude with moral and vocational instruction. It basically exemplified the Pennsylvania system of penology and became a model for over 300 prisons worldwide. It closed in 1971, and you can go in. So I'm going to go in and have a look around. It's really cool. It kind of looks like a castle from the outside. So they held a competition to design who would design this penitentiary, and John Haviland, as I mentioned before, he won the competition, and he won $100, and obviously got his design built. But I'm in cell block number 1 now, and it's really long, and all the cells are off. They got wooden doors which are on like rollers. It's all solid wood with looks like cast iron. And you can go into some of the cells. A lot of the cells are just rubble and just old toilets and pieces of wood and stuff, and beds just lying there. It's all dusty. But there's things about his quotes here from people that are in solitary for like 7 to 10 years, and it's like one of them says, like if you cage your dog for 10 years and you beat it, how do you think it's going to come out after you release it? There's one here, it's got like a tree root growing down into it. It's really quite eerie. It's amazing. It's really interesting. And then come into this central bit here where there's other cell blocks coming off. The ceiling is like a wooden ribs. It's all ribbed. Going up. Hello. Hi.
Are you doing the audio tour?
I am. I've got the audio tour on. I'm also talking to myself.
For the audio tour, you've come up the wrong cell block.
I've come up the wrong one?
Yeah, they're not in sequence, so that's
okay.
9, and the one you're supposed to go in is
further around.
Which is the next one.
Okay, I'll go back around.
It happens all day to people.
That's all right. It's fascinating.
It really is an interesting place.
Yeah.
There's the history, and then there's just the building itself.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, all the stories of the people that were in it, both the people confined and...
Did you know that there is a map that you can scan?
I did, but I don't have internet because I can't get it. So it's all right. I'll go back around. I'll find my way.
Here is a copy of it.
Did I take a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can
that'd
lay
be
it
great.
down if you. So on one side it has the map with the numbers.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, it has the numbers.
All the numbers.
So you can scan that.
See which way.
It's all different people and events and facilities. And then all of this are the artist installations, which are all over the place.
That are going around, yeah. Okay, it's amazing. Oh, it's a fascinating place.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
How long are you in Philadelphia?
Literally, I leave this afternoon.
Okay.
I work for British Airways, so I'm only here for 24 hours.
Oh, I didn't know
So-
they came to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Or did you? Oh.
Yeah. One flight a day, one in and one out.
Okay.
So yeah, I got in yesterday, like about 6 o'clock, and then I'm leaving today about 5 o'clock.
Is this going to be your a regular route for you?
No, but having said that, I was here last week, so it just, you never know.
So
You never
there
know.
are two other weird little museums, if you like weird little museums.
Okay.
There's the Mutter Museum, M-U-T-T-E-R.
Heard of this one? This is the medical one, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep.
And then there's the Wagner Free Institute.
Okay.
It's a 19th century natural history museum. It hasn't been changed since the 1920s.
Oh my word.
And it's
Okay.
a little museum. You can do it in an hour and a half at the most.
Is-
But it's, oak and glass cases with mounted taxidermy and skeletons, drawers you can pull out that'll be full of, 500 specimen eggs or moths.
Wow.
And all the labels are written by hand.
Wow.
Dinosaur fossils used as door stops. I mean, it's really great.
That's amazing. Is that far from here?
No, it's and if you're taking the subways, it's
Yeah.
very close to the Temple University stop
Okay.
on the Broad Street line.
Great.
But
Excellent.
Wagner Free Institute.
Wagner Free.
Totally worth it.
I'll check that out. Thanks for the tip.
Sure thing.
Hey, take care. Do I come back round this way? Is
You
it-
won't for the
No.
audio tour, but you can. All points lead to the center,
Yeah.
so you'll end up either at the center or you'll go all the way up to the ball field. So you can get back here really easily.
Great. Thanks for your help.
All right.
Thanks.
Enjoy.
Bye. There we go. Gone the wrong way. He said, it happens all the time. But it's fascinating. So this is cell block number 9. Oh, thought it was number 1. Oh. So you come at the end of the cell block to the centre, the room centre, and there are 7 cell blocks going off. And the idea is that you can stand in the middle and you can look around and you can see down every single cell block. It's really cool. So cell block 2 was the women's, cell block 3 was the hospital cell block, and in 1929 Al Capone had his tonsils taken out in there, which is really cool. It's really, really fascinating. So it invites you to step into the cells, and there's a skylight at the top, and then there was a door that would go out into a little courtyard area on your own, 20 inches of masonry between each cell, and you would be in on your own. And there are reports of people being able to make holes from one cell to another to be able to talk to each other. But most people here would be locked up for robbery, horse stealing, murder, and they would get anything from 2 to 7 years in here. So they talk about this prison is built on the Pennsylvania system, and then there's also the New York system. Again, they're all about solitary and silence, but Pennsylvania was more about solitary, and the New York, apparently when they were working, they would work together. The prisoners would come together to work, but they had to be sitting in silence. And a lot of the American prisons were designed in the 1800s around the New York system, but a lot of the world's prisons were designed around the Pennsylvania system, keeping everybody solitary. So it has quite an influence, not just in America, not so much in America, but in the world, really. Apparently Charles Dickens came here in 1842, and there were 2 places that he wanted to see, and that was Niagara Falls and this prison. He believed that isolation is going to it's going to really cause a lot of insanity if you're left in isolation. But in cell block 7, cell blocks 4, 5, 6 and 7 are double because they needed more space. So cell blocks 1, 2 and 3 are single level, and cell block 7 is double. It's really cool. I'm outside in the largest area, which is open in the penitentiary, and they have a big graph here called the Big Graph. And on one side of it has the US rate of incarceration, and it going from like the 1900s to 2020. And it is the number of people that are incarcerated for every 100,000 citizens. And it's quite astonishing, really. There's been nearly a 600% growth in the number of US prisoners between 1970 and 2010, which is when it's at its height. 2020 it dropped down a little bit. But on the end of the graph it has it compared to other countries in the world, and the United States is the world's highest with 655 per 100,000 people. To give you an idea, the next one down is El Salvador at 604. And they've split it into two. One side, that because people often ask, well, is it because of the death penalty and other countries kill a lot more of their prisoners? So on the left-hand side, they have the people that do still have the death penalty. And if you say, for instance, like China, for instance, China is at 118 per 100,000, whereas the United States is at 655. If we come over the United Kingdom, it's at 139. Go down to the bottom, like Congo, it's 27. Go back up the top, Thailand 529. It's quite a fascinating, interesting side. And then you come around to the other side, and it gives you race, the US prison system. It says that there's been a massive growth in the US prison population. Black and Latino communities have become the most heavily impacted. In 1970, more than half of the US prisoners were white. That percentage has shrank to 32% by 2020. And in that time, black and Latino prisoners grew to 60% of the US prison population, while they make up just 30% of the general population. And it asks the question, why is that happening? It says many scholars point to the strong correlation in the US between race, poverty and lack of opportunities such as quality education. It really is a very simple tool, and then at the end they've got a space for 2030, and it asks you where would you like it to be. It's huge, it's massive, jumps up so much between 1980 and 1990. It more than doubles and then jumps up in 2000 again. This is fascinating. It really is. I really encourage you, if you come to Philadelphia, you have to come to the Eastern State Penitentiary. It really puts things in perspective. And then, I'm talking about routine and stuff. And here's a place where you would come and you'd be forced into a routine, but one that you really don't want to go through. Really fascinating. Really, really glad I took time to come up here and have a look around this place. I highly recommend it. So I have luckily managed to come out from the Eastern State Penitentiary, a place built to enforce strict routines. I can't help but reflect on how powerful those routines must have been in there, how they shaped lives, bent wills and basically defined their days. But again, what if we think about our own routines, not as like confines, but as bricks that we can rearrange. You can't really rearrange the walls of the penitentiary, but just by stepping out of our patterns, wearing our socks in the wrong order, mixing them up, drinking tea instead of coffee, walking a different route, I've spoken about that before. We invite then a little ripple of small surprises that you just never know how that's going to affect. You know, I'm not talking about dismantling our routines entirely, but making them our own again, walking ourselves up to, you know, not walking, sort of like waking ourselves up to the wonderment of our everyday lives. It's not about being rebellious. It's just remembering that we are so lucky to be alive. And even the simplest of changes can remind us of that fact in the most unexpected ways. Yeah, that was a really, really cool little visit. I'm glad I've done that. And I'm going to head back down towards the City Hall. And so, as I leave Philadelphia and reflect on its streets, its stories, and its rhythm, I think back to Eastern State Penitentiary. It was a place built on the idea that strict routines could reform the soul, that isolation could lead to redemption. Yet, walking through those cold, haunting corridors, I was struck by how routines, without reflection, can become walls. They can keep us safe, yes, but they can also confine us. Philadelphia itself is a city of paradoxes. Freedom and structure, history and reinvention, routines and revolutions. It was here that a group of ordinary people, bound by the routines of their daily lives, chose to rewrite the rules and chart a new course. It makes me wonder, what routines in our lives are waiting to be challenged? What would happen if we stepped outside the predictable and allowed ourselves to reimagine, to wander, to create? As I stand at the crossroads of history and reflection, I'm reminded that breaking routine doesn't always mean breaking away. It means finding a new rhythm, one that serves who we are becoming, not just who we've been. Philadelphia, through its routines and its revelations, if this city teaches us anything, it's that there is power in questioning the ordinary and courage in building something new. The Story Pilgrim was written, walked, talked, recorded, edited, produced by me, Darren Hill. Anya Backer and Sean the Harp provided the extraordinary music. To find out more about us all, please search The Story Pilgrim on all of your socials, and please make sure that you are following this podcast. And one last thing, just tell one good friend about it. Thank you. Keep listening, and buen camino.